Volume change in trees is probably the most common one because we've got a lot of clay through the UK. So clays can vary in their volume change potential, but quite often if they're high, you're going to have to evaluate the roots, the amount of water near your site, and what the potential for change in settlement. This is when you start to see cracking at lintels over time if you're to do this wrong. So figuring out what trees you have on your site by doing topographical surveys, first getting the lay of the land, followed by tree surveys will give you an idea of what you've got and how far away you want to be. If you've not set out your site and you have quite a lot of land to work with, then we can advise you as to how far away you might want to be from a certain tree to avoid the influence of it. They do range quite far. Some big trees can have sort of 25-meter, 30-meter radius of influence and volume change. These are not something that you can skip around. We've had clients say, well, what if I just cut it down before you start works? Well, the roots are going to take, some of them can take up to 10 years to die off. So if you chop it down and think you're saving yourself the hassle before getting us involved, I would advise against that, because over the course of sort of 5 to 10 years, you might start to find that it settles and cracks after that. So site planning cost, figure out where your trees are, what you've got. If you've got big ones, you chop them down or not, they're still going to have an influence, that's fine. But you can plan ahead for it. You can say, okay, here are the options for the foundations we're going to go with. If you're trying to go down the route of, say, a passive house or a passive principle designed house, this is important because you don't want to leave this down to the later end and find out that your insulated raft slab detail that you wanted doesn't work. And that could blow your passive certification out of the water straight away. So planning for that and setting it out on site in such a way that still allows you to get that passive certification is quite important. Some of the options for this and high volume change, here's a few sort of cuttings from other projects we've had. This is a suspended slab. It's suspended on a ring beam off of pad foundations with a compressible void filler underneath. So this allowed a insulated above, SIPS kit insulated above the slab, so cold slab beneath, with a compressible filler underneath to take care of that volume change. This was a high volume change site. Your next one would be trench fill. This will get you down to greater depths and it'll get you away from some of the roots. Again, if you're on a root protected site, you can't do that in certain areas. But if you're on a hill, this means you can get down and away and create root barriers and root protection zones so that they can't get underneath your house and cause movement. And then again, a more typical way to do this on a poorly graded site would be pile foundations and then an insulated raft slab above. This is an example where you want to be going for a raft slab for your thermal efficiency. However, you're going to have to then break some thermal gaps where you're joining your pile foundations, which is not great for your thermal efficiency. And if you hadn't accounted for that ahead of time, it's going to come as a little bit of a surprise. So you're going to want to know what that bearing strata is at the beginning.